Being a flight attendant is a little bit like being a school teacher because you're always enforcing rules and nobody wants to obey them. And you're also handing out snacks. To me, the weirdest thing, and I see it all the time, is people going to the restroom in their socks. Think of it less like a hotel room and more like a football stadium. Like there's a lot of foot traffic here. And that puddle on the floor, it's not water. Passengers who do not remove their earphones while we're coming through the cabin with service really require patience. I'll list the snacks and they don't hear me, so I think maybe they didn't want anything. And then the moment I push the cart, they go, "I didn't get a snack." And I'm like, I asked you. I would say the floor of the aircraft actually might be the dirtiest part of the aircraft. And sometimes I will see people lie down on the floor in front of their row, or worse, have their child lie down on the floor in front of their row. I don't know that they're necessarily breaking any rules at that time, but it is not something I would recommend. Diet Coke. It's either the most common or I just notice it more because interestingly, the Diet Coke is the beverage on board that takes the longest to pour. There's something in like the chemistry of a Diet Coke that makes it fizz about twice as long as any other soft drink. Some flight attendants insist on pouring the Diet Coke into the glass first and then adding ice. Some people put the glass on top of the Diet Coke can and then flip it and slowly pour up. I personally put the ice in and then just pretend like I'm pouring a beer, slowly at an angle, and it controls the fizz. I have heard theories that the altitude does something specific that makes men cry more often, but I honestly think that people just feel a little freer on an airplane because they're not like in a usual environment. There was like a period of time when A Dog's Purpose came out. A Dog's Purpose will hit you at your core. So a Bloody Mary plus A Dog's Purpose on a plane, that's what we call a perfect storm. The easiest way to get on my good side is just say please and thank you. I mean, it is like magical, truly. I saw someone walking through the airport recently with what looked like a 3x4 sheet of sheet metal. And I was thinking, well, they're already in the airport, so that has to be going on an airplane. And I don't even know if it would fit in a closet. Are they building a house this way? They're just booking individual flights for all the materials? Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. I do remember the scene from Bridesmaids where the flight attendant is really trying to be diplomatic about having Kristen Wiig's character move back to her main cabin seat.
Miss?
No, it's not me.
Yes, it is you. Please go back to your seat.
And that's pretty accurate. If someone snuck up to first class and tried to sit in the seat, we would have to address it. I think that his insistence in that scene was pretty on par.
You have 3 seconds to get back to your seat.
Oh, you can't get anywhere in 3 seconds.
I think the biggest misconception about flight attendants is that we never have time at home. Because it's actually quite the opposite. I think people assume that we're always on the road, we're always flying, we're always in other cities, whereas most flight attendants that I know work like a maximum of 14 days out of the month. We were going in for landing, we were on our final descent, and there was a problem with like the landing gear and the hydraulics to the landing gear, and so it wasn't coming down. And so the captain called the flight attendants and said, our landing gear isn't coming down. We will need everyone to remain seated and we'll call you back and let you know what's happening. And it really was only like 1 minute before he called back and said, okay, everything's totally fine. But in that minute, you're thinking, okay. I have had to remove people from a flight during boarding. Usually if someone comes on and they're acting really aggressive, or if they seem intoxicated, we will have to address it. We're like trained in proper defense techniques and like forms of de-escalation and how to ask people for help. The people around you have your back. Like the other passengers, they don't want a threat on board either. And so I never really feel like I'm on my own. They do not teach us jujitsu. I wish they did. That would be great. I would do an extra week of training for jujitsu.